Good afternoon, ADRP fans. Brett Hoare here. We have with us the one, the only, Phil Lamattina, as promised. Short introduction because he's a man who doesn't need any introduction. Good afternoon, Phil. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, Brett. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much, mate. Well,
actually, hang on. First things first. Should I hang on? Is that better?
That is much better.
Is that much better?
You look taller.
I know. I hang it on you for that.
You couldn't wait for that. I was waiting for some sort of comment.
Wait, I was dying.
I actually toyed with the idea of folding my collar down just for you, but now I've got
a little bit unprofessional. That's okay.
All right. I like it when you come forward. We can hear you more clearly. So if you can come a little bit forward when you speak, that would be awesome.
No worries.
All right, mate. We've got you on today. We're going to talk a little bit about some pretty exciting things, but for those of you out there who don't have a great grasp on Lamattina Family Top Fuel Racing, Phil had a terrible crash, a second crash at the Winter Nationals in 2015, destroyed the car, injured himself very badly, and Phil, we saw Lamattina's, I can now in hindsight take a break, but at that point retire from Top Fuel Racing. Is that reasonably accurate?
Yeah, look, I suppose, when you're in that sort of situation, sometimes you do make a few decisions that are quite rash, but you're living in that moment. And I suppose we decided that, at the end of the day, I haven't been driving again. So, we announced the team sort of was going to retire, but I suppose with maybe a little bit of unfinished business, and once the uncertainty of, I suppose, how the injuries were going to repair and all that sort of thing, I suppose in hindsight, we probably should have just said we're just taking a bit of a break and a hiatus until we repair ourselves and sort of, and then make that rash decision. I suppose probably should listen to certain people that are close to you that you're making a bit of a rash decision. And but anyway, that was the case, and my brothers felt the same way, and we're a family ran business and team and whatever you want to call it, and we sort of we always make decisions together. So it was a joint decision.
I don't think rash is. I mean, I wasn't in your shoes, but those of us looking from the outside in, you'd sustained some pretty nasty injuries, and I can understand the headspace perhaps not being as clear as it is today in 2020 looking back. So you spoke about unfinished... I think
look, I speak about unfinished business, but I suppose we've done what we've had to do in drag racing up until that point, won a couple of championships and had, originally started off and progressed slowly through, evolved as a team over time. But then I think more importantly, I think the whole circumstances of the accident with the new car, I think I got a little bit disheartened and a little bit annoyed, and I suppose more or less I probably got angry too, and a little bit not so much at ourselves, a little bit at ourselves because you're trying to work out why, but we done everything that we needed to do, and done it properly. Got ourselves a new car, rotated the chassis from the first accident, learned from our mistakes, and it happened again. So I suppose at the time, pretty annoyed.
A little disenfranchised, perhaps. And of course, we've spoken offline about the fact that you had only just done a handshake deal with Scotty Maclean about the Nitro up north only hours before the accident. So that very much was unfinished business for you guys.
Yeah. Look, obviously we stayed in touch with Scotty after that, the day of the accident, and it was great that the Rapasadas were able to step up and take our spot up there. And by all accounts, I suppose that first time it was, everyone loved it, and it was a huge success. So I suppose to be not part of that, when you're part of the whole process to initially with Scotty to get it done. I suppose when the opportunity came after I was just talking to him, months after the meeting, as a bit of a joke, sort of said that, just keep us in mind for next year. And anyway, next year come around and he started asking the questions and we didn't know if we were really serious or not. And and that's where it all sort of come about. And once we make a decision and we're doing something, we make sure we try and do it properly.
Okay. So that saw, of course, Aaron in the seat for Nitro up north, a little bit of chassis adjustment because he's about 3 feet taller than you and I. That went very well and has led to Aaron having a few more steers in the car. But that's the past. We want to move forward and talk about what's happening at Lamattina Racing. Obviously, we were very fortunate to get a hold of Richie the other day. He gave us a lovely tour of the Morgan Lucas race shop. We saw a car there that we'll talk about in a moment. It's great to see that you're bringing such a talented driver across. And if you can talk us through a little bit behind the Lamattina side of that with Aaron and the tuning and the driving and the amazing, I guess, crescendo we're going to have of the Lucas Oils driver driving the Fuchs family dragster at the Gulf Western Oils Nitro Champs, mate. It's the battle of the oil wagon.
It is crazy, isn't it? So if we wind the clock back a little bit about, Nitro up north, we needed a driver, and obviously we weren't real serious about, maybe competing after that. We just wanted to see how that went. So we did, yes, 100% needed to modify the chassis so Aaron could squeeze in there, and it wasn't for me. Sorry, I can say that easily that it wasn't a big deal, but Craig Burns done the job there, and he done a magnificent job to fit him in the time frame that we needed. So I got a big shout out to Burnsy. So anyway, we started with that, and then we went to Darwin, and it was all good, and Aaron drove well and everything. And it was a bit more, that was more for a bit of fun and just to, a bit of, like I said, unfinished business, go up there, took the family, had a bit of a holiday. It was all good, road tripping. But then when we went to Sydney in November and we agreed that we're going to race there, we said, well, if we're going to do any competition, we'll just stick to Sydney. So we're not running for the championship, so it should be okay. We'll continue to get Aaron to drive. So like normal, our competitive nature come out, and when we're in Sydney, I could just see, and and it's not, it's not in a bad way or anything like that. It's just in this day and age with the way the cars run and everything like that, it was a massive job for Aaron to do both. And I could just see he was struggling, and he was going to struggle in the future if we put any extra pressure on him to do any sponsor commitments or anything like that. So we just got talking, and obviously the first choice was the first choice we had to tick or put a mark against was, me driving again, which, that conversation went for about 2 seconds and it wasn't happening. So, anyways, we just got thinking about the whole process, and towards the end of last year, around the September mark, I went over to the US for a little bit of a holiday and catch up with a few people. Obviously since the accident that time, it'd been a while, and for the well wishes and everything like that. And I've known Richie for a while. Had some dinners with him, and went out and at the racetrack and everything like that. And I think Richie's a really, just a great bloke, and just an absolute gentleman. So when the opportunity come up that we were going to be racing at the Nitros, I sort of said, what about if we ask? And at that point, Richie obviously was still driving back then. But then, at the start of the year when we heard that he wasn't going to be, driving and they were selling up and all this sort of thing, it sort of got me thinking. And I actually broke the idea to him even when I was over there. I said, oh, would you come out? And he said, of course he would. And so then we asked, and he said yes, of course. And I suppose, and we'll look forward for that to happen.
Okay, so it's a one-shot deal. He's coming out for the Nitro Champs or the Nitro Thunders at this stage. Now,
well,
you might have some interesting
for us. Sorry, say again.
He might have some interesting luggage beating him here, perhaps not with him, but beating him here?
Well, this is the problem. We can only say things that we can have control of, and at the moment, just in conversation with Richie, talking about cars and chassis and all that sort of stuff, because really at the end of the day, if we want to do it, we've got to do it right. And we're just talking about cars in general and about, all that sort of stuff. And he said that, his car hadn't 100% been sold yet. So sort of had a bit of an idea, rush of blood, and got him to ask the question if it was for sale, like if we moved in and put a bit of a deposit down, would we be able to secure that? And we were able to do that. So we've bought Richie's car that he ran in the last round in Pomona. As it sits, turnkey, which is a little bit different for us because his combinations completely different to ours. And I suppose if we want to continue to race, we want to update our equipment. That was always on the cards eventually. So this opportunity's come out, and if we can get the car here fast enough, which we're working, tirelessly to do it, but we don't want to muck it up either, in the sense that we've got to get it in, we've got to run it. Like I said, it's a completely different combination to what we're running. So Aaron's going to have his work cut out to learn that side of things, and hopefully we're going to have enough time to run it before, and we're going to be able to give him that car to run in Sydney.
Okay, wow, awesome. Okay, so with Richie tick, possibly Richie's car half tick, but one way or another we'll see Richie in a Fuchs dragster from the Lamattina family at May, and possibly a brand new combination for your family.
Correct. Like, at the end of the day, we've still got the car. Obviously, Richie will fit in that, not a problem. That we're actually preparing that at the moment. Aaron's doing that, and the boys back at the shop, and we're preparing that as if we haven't got the other car coming or going to be in the equation. So we'll continue to prep that race car, and we'll just see how things work out, and hopefully if we can get it in a container and get it over here, we'll definitely be running it at the Nitro Champs or Nitro Thunder event.
Yep. Okay. So digging a little deeper, you alluded to it's a one-shot deal with Richie. He's coming over for the Nitro Thunder event, but you suggested that the car coming is a little bit of arsenal for the Lamattina family if they're going to continue to race, if they're going to do this right. What can we read into that in the coming 12 months?
Oh, look, in the coming 12 months, I suppose, if everything falls into place, Richie, I would hope maybe it could be an option for us. Obviously, work commitments for him over back home and all that sort of stuff. He's not a 100% option. He's an option, but not the option that we would probably need to go for if we're going to run the championship for next season. We would like to get this, and people are going to say, why are you investing all this money in all that sort of thing? I suppose we're a bit tragics, and why would you do it if you're not going to compete at the championship? But at the end of the day, once we make that decision, that's when it's going to be, we'll announce it 100% when we know in our hearts 100% that that's what we really want to do. So we want to see, we need to get some consistency back in what we're doing, and we need to run a few rounds, and fingers crossed the Nitro Up North deal is on again for this season. So hopefully, if we can run the Nitros and then we can go up to Darwin, and then maybe that might get us enough, our blood pumping enough that we can want to compete at the championship. Because I suppose at the end of the day, it's all right to go there and run the car, and you can do that at testing or track championship rounds or anything like that. But I suppose the competitive nature of what we're like is we need to run for something, and also to run against the best, like with the Rapasadas and Morgan and also to Zebras, running very consistent, and anybody else that wants to put their hand up. So we want to be we want to be amongst the mix of the contenders, and we want to win. So the only way we're going to win is doing laps, and that's been a proven formula. So let's see what happens.
So the heat of competition bug is biting a little bit.
Of course, it's you can't beat it. It's what can I say? You just can't beat that, and losing sucks, that's for sure, and your heart gets ripped out. But at the end of the day, the adrenaline before that run and the nerves and everything continues. So that there, I suppose we miss that competitiveness. Okay,
so I guess the recap is Lamattina Family Racing and the Fuchs Top Fuel Dragster back in May at the Nitros with Richie at the helm, followed up with an appearance up Darwin up north, yet to be confirmed driver. And knowing you as well as I do, and the brothers that you have, and the drive and passion, a full tilt at the 2017-18 season with driver yet to be announced.
That's pretty much in a nutshell. And a lot of people, I suppose, and I'm not going to beat around the bush too much. A lot of people say that, there'd be a list of drivers a mile long to be able to do it, and we have looked and thought about a lot of different options. But at the end of the day, it's got to be. There's so many boxes to tick when it comes to a driver. It's not just driving the car. I know out there there's a lot of young drivers that have got the ability to be able to drive the car, but there's the package deal nowadays, unfortunately, is you got to be good at all this sort of stuff that we're doing now and all that sort of thing. So the search is out there, and Richie, like I said, is one option to do it. Aaron is always still there as an option. We'll make sure that always is a continued option for us to have. And we're big believers in giving young people an opportunity, and maybe you never know that what's around the corner, that we might tap someone on the shoulder and see if they're interested or not. And
careful, mate. Your email box may careful, mate. Your email box may explode after this.
Yeah, look, and I know it's not. It's something that you don't. I suppose it's a lot of things that you don't discuss and out in the open forum, but it's something that we've been discussing internally a fair bit. And like I said, there's a lot of names that have we've considered, and but at the moment we just want to see how we go with Richie and bring him out, and hopefully the fans can enjoy it, and they can come out and see him, because like I said, he's very humble sort of a bloke, but he's a superstar in our eyes, and he's an Aussie, which is great, and that's what we want to see.
Absolutely. And I think, Garrett, leading on from your comment about there's been a lot of names go into the funnel, you've looked sort of fairly broadly. Anyone who thinks that their name perhaps should be in that funnel couldn't go far wrong modelling them on Richie. I mean, you spoke about it, the whole package. You've got to be media savvy. You've got to be well-spoken. You've got to be warm to the general public, and a personality that people are going to want to follow. Seeing the Lamattina family come back to Top Fuel Racing in this country, the level of professionalism we know you'll bring, and the packages that you're looking to bring, it's very heartwarming to Nicole and I at ADRP to see that level of professionalism, and a next level is what we need to go in this sport. I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second. We've been sitting for too long doing the same old thing and expecting a different result. And people like you are the catalyst that can bring the sport forward, can make it professional, can make it new and shiny and attractive to that cell phone audience that we're trying so hard to appeal to. So thank you.
Yeah. And adding on to that about ticking all the boxes too, a lot of people in drag racing understand what this means about, it's, they talk about football and that sort of stuff being a team sport. I classify Top Fuel Racing and a lot of other people, obviously, in the lower categories as well, as a team sport, because, we've got a crew of guys there. You can jump out of the car, you can be the best driver, but there's no way knowing that you're going to get out there and put the cylinder head on and do the rack and bottom end and clutch and tyres and fuel and blower and everything else that needs to be associated with it, and tune the race car. So it's it's a massive team effort. And also too, the driver, like I said about ticking the boxes, a lot of people, like I say, don't realise a lot of different stuff is, the crew guy. Pardon me, the crew guys need to, want to work on the car for that person that's going to be driving that car, and all that sort of stuff. And it's like I said, it's that team environment that to go that little bit extra distance to, to get the win light on, really, when you think about it, get that car back on the start line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that passion from the crew extends out to the fans and to the sponsors. The driver has to be doing all of that. He hasn't got time to be doing all of that other stuff, and he's just one cog in the team, isn't he? That's at the end of the day.
Well, they call us a spacer, that's for sure.
The ballast was one word that I was given for a driver the other day, so we'll leave that there as as an ex-driver yourself. Mate, we've covered off what's going on at Lamattina. What about, do you want to give us some insight into your health, where you're at, and perhaps the health of the sport through your eyes?
All right, so first things first, I'm going okay. I'm basically fully repaired, which means that the rods in my back that were holding the spine up, where they replaced the vertebra, all the bones integrated itself now. So the only problem is that even to today, I still I would just classify myself as I've got a sore back. So, sitting for long periods of time or distances affect me. I still can't really lift, and nobody should be lifting anything heavy. That's for sure. So I don't go ahead and do anything silly. But if I do something, something as simple as, lifting the esky full of ice and drinks and everything like that, I'll just pay for it a little bit, that night where, you just say, that's a bit sore there. And like I said, I'm thankful at the end of the day that I'm still here. I'm mobile. I can get around. I'm walking. There's a lot of people that are, a lot worse off than I am. So I'm just happy for me, and in the sense that I'm okay. And I don't really like to, whinge about it a little bit. I've just got a sore back. That's all. And, or a bad back, and I just got to keep an eye on it. So, if I manage it correctly, I probably should be doing a bit more exercise, but what do you do?
So should we all?
Yeah, so should we all. And the sport. Well, the sport is the sport. It's the sport we love, and unfortunately, things happen, and what we're trying to do now is, I suppose, not focus so much on that stuff anymore. We're just focusing on, our racing program, if you would call it that. What we want to do and what makes us happy. So. And what makes us happy is, trying to run the car with as minimal fuss as possible. And if we have the opportunity to be able to bring out, blokes like the caliber of Richie and maybe give some other young person an opportunity, why not? That's what it's about, isn't it? We're not here for forever, so we might as well try and see what we can do. And you never know. You never know.
That's great to hear from you, mate, because a lot of the Group 1 races and other races we've been talking to are saying the same thing. We're concentrating on our race program. We're going to race the races we want to race, and that's what we're going to do, put the best show on we can. Excuse me. Oh, golly. All right. Thank you, Nicole. Mate, I know that you've got a couple of million carrots to pull out of the ground today, so we better not take too much more of your time. Excuse me, before I also pass out, I've got something in my lung. Again, thank you so much for your time today, your family for all you've done for Top Fuel. There's a lot of people super excited about Richie coming out. I think you guys better get ready with plenty of security and plenty of ropes and plenty of autograph signing pens for him, mate. Sydney should go off, and that's in no short way thanks to what you guys are doing at Lamattina's and the Fuchs Dragster.
Yeah, no, thanks for the opportunity to come on, and anytime you want to have a bit of a chat, we can do that. And yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to Sydney and for Richie to come out. And like I said, I don't think he fully appreciates how much support he's really got out here, and it's going to be massive. And we'll do our thing, which is hopefully to give him a decent hot rod that he can go and do what he's got to do, which is the business end, which he does well. So at the end of the day, we've got a massive job because, like I said, the car. I'm not making any excuses, and I don't want to. We've got a couple of little plan A's and B's and C's if we need to fall back on if everything doesn't come to fruition. So we'll run the car. Hopefully we'll get it out here first. We'll run the car before, but if we're not comfortable with that to put on the show for the fans, especially like I said with the caliber of Richie coming out, we'll revert back to the old girl and we'll go from there. And it's going to be interesting because like you said at the start, we're going to be at the Gulf Western Oil Nitro Thunder event, and he's driving the Fuchs Top Fuel Dragster, and he works for Lucas Oil. That's not too bad, eh?
Well, hopefully the Lucas Oil Dragster gets here in time, early enough to become a Fuchs Oil Dragster. So
that's we're working on the livery as we speak at the moment, and it's going to be probably something a little bit different. We say that all the time, I suppose, but we're always one for changing that livery, and I think it's just it's great when you do that sort of stuff, and we're going to do something a little bit left field here. So we'll see what happens. But she's definitely the Fuchs Top Fuel Dragster. Fuchs have been sticking by us for so many years now, and do I have to give ADRP a mention? Do I?
No. That's your new livery.
Oh, yeah.
The check's in the mail. Check's in the mail.
All right, I'll be waiting for it. So, so like I said, really, really looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right. And for those people who missed our interview with Richie, everything that Phil said, could not be a more humble man. I don't think he does appreciate how much support he has back home. We've all got up at ungodly hours of the morning to watch him compete. Live the excitement of his success those last couple of years. US Nationals just off its head, the fact that he's got that championship. So we'll post a link a little bit later today or tomorrow behind this video so you guys can go back and have a look and see who this man is that's coming out for the Lamattina family to drive that Fuchs Dragster. So thank you so much, Phil. Go and pull some carrots out of the ground, and we'll look forward to seeing you in May.
No worries. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks so much, mate. Cheers. Well, guys, there you go. Phil Lamattina, new dragster on the water on the way, currently in Lucas Oil livery. We'll have Fuchs Lamattina family livery, possibly, if not the poor old girl, as Phil called it. I think that's a little disrespectful for such an awesome race car. At the Gulf Western Nitro Champs at Sydney in May, you couldn't ask for much more. Make sure you get down to the pit and have a word to Phil and to the rock star that he is bringing out from the US. It'll be an amazing event. Thanks so much for your time today, guys. Hope we brought you some more news that you can take away and make you want to make drag racing great again. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Cheers.